Hello everybody, how are you? How are things in your world? I hope you had a great New Year's Eve and you're kicking off this new year and decade in grand style. Another beautiful day here in Southern California. This video is going to be one of our community spotlights where we take a closer look at some of the cooler, neater communities around the country, and this time it's going to be El Cajon, a community near San Diego, California. And El Cajon came to my mind because I was down there on Christmas Day. I was in San Diego, and El Cajon plays such a major role down there when you look at all the people talking about it, all the buzz that it gets. So this particular video is just going to focus on how the town, how the area developed, and then later videos we'll get into some of the cool things about it, like famous people from El Cajon, the secret El Cajon handshake, which everybody asks me about all the time now, El Cajon fashions, and all kinds of stuff. So El Cajon is directly translated from Spanish, means fountain of the Lilac Valley. Now the problem was that the town was incorporated in 1847, and the townspeople began writing Christmas cards, and unfortunately it got a little blowback because on every card they had to write out Fountain of the Lilac Valley, California, and whatever the zip code was at that time. It's changed over the years. They didn't have those stickers that people get these days with their address on them, and maybe a little American flag or maybe a little snowman right there on the sticker that they can put on each of their Christmas cards, which is a definite advantage when you're sending out 100, 200, 400, 5,000 cards. But in the 1800s, guys, they didn't have those sticky stickers, and you had to do it all by hand. So they had a town council meeting, and remember, in the 1800s, the community was not near as large as it is now, so it didn't take long for them to vote on a shorter name. And El Cajon was the winner. So El Cajon ever since has grown very rapidly. It started out as a agricultural area, and in that particular valley there, it's called a box canyon. It's sort of as a box shape. They grew the hemp that is used in cardboard boxes today. So the original cardboard boxes were made right there in El Cajon, 1850, 1860. They would grow the hemp that they would then take the hemp vines, the hemp strands as they call them, and weave them into the earliest corrugated boxes. And it's funny because even then, even if you look at old photographs from 1850, 1860, and people give their kid a nice play set, a nice set of dolls, maybe hand-sewn play clothes, maybe even a new pair of shoes, and they come in those new boxes. Like nobody ever had seen corrugated boxes before, but they give the kid their Christmas present, birthday present, wrap it up, but it's inside the box. Well, what do the kids do with a big box? They play with the box. Even then, in 1850, 1855, 1856, right in there, you see these photographs, they get the nice playground set, but what do the kids do when they're 3, 4, 5 years old? They play in the box. It's never changed in decades. So guys, that is the nature of the original industry, and of course the lilacs, which it's part of the original name, Fountain of the Lilac Valley. The lilacs that scent has been used now worldwide in new car smells, anything to try to mask odors, whether it be odors from people, from crime scenes, from an airplane where the oil is burning in the engine and the smell goes back into the cabin and knocks everybody out. And that keeps the complaining down. It keeps people from complaining that they're paying $375 to fly from El Cajon to Palm Springs, and all they get is some, cardboard peanuts and a Diet Coke that's warm. So when the plane, when they get knocked out by that oil burning smell, then the lilacs, they just sprinkle them on. Now what happens is the flight attendant goes down the aisle of the plane, and she has this thing that the Catholic Pope uses, the Catholic priest uses, and it shoots a lilac solution, basically like a essential oil, over the people that are knocked out because they were breathing the fumes of the burning oil from the plane. And so when they wake up, they don't understand what happened, and they smell so good, feel so good from that essential oil, that they do not care, and they continue on with their life. So once the corrugated box industry started, there was a whole bunch of other industries related to that, because storage became kind of the cornerstone of the economy there in El Cajon. So they were the first people to come out with mason jars. Now, mason jars were named after a local guy that was a glass blower, and he used to, fire up some bottles for people just for fun. He'd give them a cool looking bottle and neat jars. He gave his mom some jars to store her plums and her lilacs and her lavender. And it just grew from there. People said, dude, can you make me a jar like that? Those cool mason jars with the wide mouth. And he kept doing it. And another industry was born. And that's the beauty of the American system, is if you create value in the world, you're eventually going to have people beating a path to your door, slap a price tag on that value, and you're off and running. So let's see. So that is the original industry. Now, the original settlers, however, when they first came over the hill, the first European settlers, of course, there's been Native Americans in the area for 6, 7, 10, 20,000 years, okay? And that's why it's a little disingenuous to call the original Europeans the explorers, because the area had already been explored. But nonetheless, the original settlers from Europe, when they came over the hill, bringing with them their Old Navy clothing and their Brooks Brothers shirts and their Swatch watches, that was back in the 1700s, early 1800s, where they first appeared over the horizon, and they looked down in the valley and they breathed in that lilac, like I said, the fountain of the Lilac Valley. That they were, oh my goodness, we have found nirvana, we have found heaven on earth, and it's right here just east of what will be San Diego. They settled in there, and they started thinking, okay, this is great. This is a lot better than spending winters in New York, where not only do you have snowstorms and rain, you have ice squalls. Guys, you haven't lived through anything. This is what they're thinking. You haven't lived through life until you've been through an ice squall in the northeastern United States. It's going to make you question whether you really want to continue living on this planet, because not only is it ice, but it has a squall attached. That's a windstorm. It's an angry windstorm. Have you ever seen somebody angry and they're out of their mind and they're turning red and they're turning purple and there's fumes coming out of their ears and they're breathing smoke rings out of their nose? Well, that's what an ice squall is if it was a person. I mean, that behavior by a person is a human ice squall. So, they were just so glad, these settlers from Europe, or European descendants, to get away from ice squall land. In fact, that's what some people called New York City, ice squall land. And settle into the temperate temperatures, the beautiful weather, the mild climate of El Cajon. They were so happy to do it. Some people just fell asleep and they never woke up. And they just passed away right there, asleep, but happy. The undertaker came to collect their body, and there's a big smile on their face. Okay, they were not breathing, but they had a big smile on their face because they were in El Cajon. They were relaxed. They got out of that northeast United States weather, and in fact, some scientists think they were so happy and relaxed, their body just said, we can't get any better than this. So let's just stop breathing, stop beating the heart. And this person is happy, they're content. They will never be any better off than this moment right now. And God called them home. Now, we don't really know. Okay, this was back in, again, 1790, 1800, 1810, when they first came rolling over the top of the edge of the canyon there. So guys, I hope that gives you a little background about El Cajon. It's really a neat community. There's a lot of commuters, right? It's a kind of a bedroom community for San Diego. But don't give it that short shrift, guys. It's got its own personality, its own value, its own food. You've got nightclubs and a unique personality that we're going to explore more. So come on back.